Good evening, everybody. I thought it was appropriate this evening to take time to remember the persons that died when NATO bombed the Chinese embassy in Belgrade, Serbia in 1999. May God rest their souls in peace. That incident in and of itself was a terrible war crime and a hideous crime against China. It violated the whole bombing of former Yugoslavia, violated the War Powers Act of 1973, which is instituted after Vietnam to ensure that a president such as Bill Clinton does not enact a war of aggression against any country in the world without using the United States constitutional checks and balance system, in which the War Powers Act of 1973 stated that any president of the United States of America can only undertake aggression against a country such as Serbia. Bill Clinton did against Serbia and Montenegro in 1999 for a limited amount of time. I'm not sure on the days, maybe 73 or 90. And when that time period ends, Congress must declare war in order for the bombing or aggression against any particular country, X, Y, Z, to continue. In the case of the bombing of Serbia and Montenegro in 1999 and the Kosovo crisis, Bill Clinton spearheaded the entire NATO bombing against the former Yugoslavia to oust President Slobodan Milosevic, a man he didn't like, and in the process killed hundreds and thousands of Serbian, Jewish, Muslim, Chinese, and other people in the process. Innocent civilians that had, just like you and me, that had no part in the diplomatic disagreements going on between Belgrade and Washington, or the United Nations, for that matter. Bill Clinton, by executive order, enacted a bombing, war of aggression against Serbia and Montenegro to oust Slobodan Milosevic, and on May 9th of 1999, what happened was a smart bomb got real stupid and bombed the Chinese embassy in Belgrade. Several diplomatic workers from China died. Some journalists and other people also died in that bombing. And it just so happened that I was in Belgrade in 2001 on a diplomatic invite by Darko Trifunovic, a former Serbian diplomat, and his wife, and they took me to see the Chinese embassy that was bombed. And I stood in front of it, and there were several Serbian armed guards there. And it was one of the few places we actually got out. I actually got out of the car and looked around. We stopped at several military installations, and Darko said, "Hey, this is a really important military installation, check it out." And I said, "Hey, that's cool." But when we got to the Chinese embassy, we got out and I took some pictures, and I'll never forget it because it taught me that smart bombs don't get stupid. What happens really is that a president doesn't like a country and has a reason to bomb an embassy to take out another target, such as, Taliban are hiding in a civilian area in Pakistan. And then later, someone like Tony Blair says, "Oh, we have deep diplomatic regrets that we killed 500 civilians. We just really wanted to kill this Taliban guy, or Osama bin Laden. We thought he was hiding out there, but we didn't really care killing the other 500 to get to him." And that's basically what happens. They probably had heard Slobodan Milosevic was in the area that night or something, visiting the Chinese embassy, and they took it out. I don't believe the smart bombs get stupid, and now we're going to discuss why. Because they don't. I never really saw it bomb that building. I just, like you, heard on the news or saw what the United States propaganda machine on CNN, run by the State Department, wants you to see. A bunch of Albanian refugees flowing out of Kosovo or something in 1999. When I heard that a building, something got bombed, I've never seen a building that was bombed before, so I thought a building that's bombed is demolished. Wouldn't you think so? I mean, if someone said, hey, my building was just bombed by NATO stealth, you'd think it was demolished. But that's not what happens. I got out of the car and I stood in front of the Chinese embassy, and at first I said, it was like looking at any building in Wayne, New Jersey or New York City that had several stories. I looked around and I didn't see any damage. There wasn't one piece of grass damage. There were flowers, there were trees. I didn't see anything, so I looked around and I looked and oops, Darko says, look, see up there? About 6 floors up on the left corner, that was the Chinese embassy, and that was the only building, that was the only window of hundreds of windows in the building, because it must have had maybe 20 floors, that was bombed. Now, that was definitely not a mistake. That was, if I'm sitting in a big building in New York City, a couple hundred stories, and there's only one window that's shot out, and that's the Chinese embassy, that looks like a direct hit to me. And nothing else was tarnished. Not a tree, not a flower, not a bee, not a piece of grass. And I didn't even see any damage until Darko pointed out that window. And then when I looked in the window, I saw a pink Victorian chair, and I said to myself, my God, because it was singed and burned, and I said, I wonder who was sitting there at the time, if they were dead or if they were alive. And I crossed myself, and I said, the Jesus prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And I looked up there and I said, oh my God, I hope there was no one sitting up there at the time. I obviously saw it, and I was there because I don't think anyone else knew the color of the chair in the window. That very few people. There weren't any pictures of it that I know. The United States, the CIA, stealth, they don't make mistakes with smart bombs. Governments make mistakes, and then they claim later that they have regret. The government takes out a civilian target because they want to take out another target in the area. Is what happens. Smart bombs don't get dumb. Presidents like Bill Clinton are already dumb, just make dumber mistakes by doing, and evil mistakes by taking out a Chinese embassy in Belgrade. I most certainly will not forget that act, and I certainly hope China, and I know Serbia, will not forget that act, and I certainly am sorry for it ever happened, and apparently the United States will never be sorry for it, and they will never admit that they meant to do it. But when you go there and you look and you see thousands of windows and only one window is touched, and that's the Chinese embassy window, nothing else on the building is really damaged, one has to admit that the preponderance of the evidence indicates that Bill Clinton wanted to take out the Chinese embassy in Belgrade, and that's exactly what he did. I hope you enjoyed this topic, and tomorrow we'll discuss another topic that Comedy News Network, CNN, didn't talk about then and refuses to talk about now. This has been Jill Louise Starr, and I hope everybody has a good evening and stay safe. Good night, and God bless.